AI integration autumn continues as YouTube announces a set of new AI features. Welcome back to the AI Breakdown Brief, all the AI headline news you need in around 5 minutes. We've been talking a lot this fall about how one of the major themes is not just the advancement of models, although there is plenty of that as well, but about the integration of AI into the workflows that we actually use, the tools and platforms that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. Well, on that front, YouTube is now testing 2 new AI features that firmly fit in that category of tweaks and improvements to the existing experience rather than something big and revolutionary. The first is a chatbot. It's a conversational AI tool that can summarize a video and answer questions from users. So in the screenshot they shared, they show the chatbot prompting the user, not sure what to ask, choose something. The options then given to the user are summarize the video, tell me more about this topic, recommend related content, or how big is the community on YouTube. Now, the other feature that it has, which is interesting for those thinking about the educational use case of AI, is that the chatbot can also quiz you on a topic if you're watching an educational video. Currently, this tool is in a very limited experiment. It's only available in English, it's only available on select videos, it's only available on Android devices, and it's only available to premium YouTube subscribers in the US who are over the age of 18. The other experimental tool that they announced, which has a similarly limited distribution right now, is a tool for organizing the comment section of a video. Basically, the AI takes all of the comments and organizes it into common themes or what they call topics. Now, especially for larger creators who have hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of comments, this feature could provide a way to A, get a better sense of what the community is actually engaging with and cares about, and B, actually engage with the most relevant comments. Even as a smaller creator, this is certainly something that I can see being really valuable. But again, falls into that category of not totally transformative, just a really great updated integration that shows how AI can be useful in what we're already doing. Now, of course, at this point, it feels like every couple weeks or at least every month, there is some new AI feature update on YouTube and in the larger Google suite, so I think that we can expect to just see more of this as time goes on. Next up, we move to another big tech giant, Meta, who has updated their policies around AI in advertising for the coming election season. Meta Global Affairs President Nick Clegg tweets, "In the new year, advertisers who run ads about social issues, elections, and politics with Meta will have to disclose if image or sound has been created or altered digitally, including with AI, to show real people doing or saying things they haven't done or said." In the blog post, they expand exactly what they're talking about. They want disclosure when something was altered or created to, quote, depict a real person as saying or doing something that they did not say or do, depict a realistic-looking person that does not exist, or a realistic-looking event that did not happen, or alter footage of a real event that happened, or depict a realistic event that allegedly occurred but that is not a true image, video, or audio recording of the event. Basically, they want to minimize confusion around what's real and what's not, particularly in the sensitive areas around the elections. Now, at the same time, they do want to make clear that they're not targeting AI as a useful tool with things like image size adjusting, cropping, color correction, image sharpening. It's just about the substance of what's actually going on in the image or video. Now, interestingly, even as Meta is releasing its own new generative AI advertising products, they're actually blocking political advertisers from using those AI ad tools. In a note, Meta said, "As we continue to test new generative AI ad creation tools in Ads Manager, advertisers running campaigns that qualify as ads for housing, employment, or credit or social issues, elections or politics, or related to health, pharmaceuticals, or financial services aren't currently permitted to use these generative AI features. We believe this approach will allow us to better understand potential risks and build the right safeguards for the use of generative AI in ads that relate to potentially sensitive topics in regulated industries." Now, currently, this suite of generative AI tools is only available to a limited group, but they're on track to be rolled out to all advertisers globally by next year. Now, speaking of politically sensitive, another big theme that we have been tracking here at the AI Breakdown is the increasingly tight export restrictions on US chip manufacturers selling, particularly to Chinese companies. The first of these rules went into place in October of last year, and around the 1-year anniversary of those rules, the Biden administration introduced a further set of rules designed to close loopholes from the first. According to a story from Reuters, these rules are already having an impact. According to Reuters sources, Baidu has started to shift their chip buying from NVIDIA to alternatives like Huawei. The company apparently ordered 1,600 910B Ascend AI chips, which were developed specifically to be an alternative to NVIDIA's A100. Giving a sense of the scale of the business and why NVIDIA has been concerned about these rules, one of the sources said that the order's total value was around $62 million. Now, NVIDIA, for its part, has said that because there is so much unmet demand around the world, these export restrictions wouldn't have an immediate impact, but they would, of course, over the long term, given how big a market China is. Speaking of big markets in AI, even as consumers get comfortable with new generative AI tools, many companies are positioning for the use of AI in the enterprise. One of those companies is IBM, who has debuted a new $500 million enterprise AI venture fund. Now, in terms of what the fund is going to invest in, IBM has said that they will invest across all stages and that they won't set any sort of target number of annual investments or capital deployment timeline. To get a sense of what they're interested in, they recently invested in Hugging Face's Series D, and according to Axios, quote, IBM is particularly interested in startups focused on tools for specific verticals like healthcare or on a specific business process as long as the startup doesn't compete too much with IBM's own business. Axios also says that IBM is saying that it's going to avoid investing in companies that are direct competitors to startups, which can be a real challenge given how fast things are evolving in the AI space. Now, according to IBM, one of the transitions and trends that they're seeing is that although there has been a ton of AI experimentation at the enterprise level, there haven't really been clear updates that involve a return on investment. It sounds like IBM is trying to invest in companies that are catering to businesses in ways that actually achieve that ROI. Another $500 million fundraise comes from Alif Alpha, and that round is chock-a-block full of big traditional firms as well. Alif Alpha is a German startup that positions itself as a direct alternative to OpenAI and ChatGPT. This $500 million funding round includes companies like Bosch, SAP, and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise as investors. Now, as CNBC points out, quote, a big part of what Alif Alpha is pushing for with its technology is a concept known as data sovereignty, the concept that data stored in a certain country is subject to that country's laws. In a European context, this means requiring that the data that powers these AI models is grounded in Europe rather than in the US. CNBC continues, this concept has gained traction with high-profile European politicians and lawmakers as they seek to ensure that they aren't at the mercy of the US when it comes to data storage and processing. There is definitely a sense between Alif Alpha and Mistral that Europe really doesn't want to be left behind and to have this entire wave just be US dominated as the first wave of big tech was over the last 20 years. Now, of course, whether these concepts of data sovereignty are actually compatible with that remains to be seen, but at least these companies are getting the capital to actually compete. Stability AI's Ahmad Mostaq wrote a little bit about the funding landscape and also intimated that they have an announcement about funding coming soon as well. Ahmad writes, we closed strategic funding ourselves last month, announcement soon, and are bringing in more strategic versus classical fundraising right now. This is fast becoming the norm in scale AI companies because everyone now realizes that generative AI is truly transformative, and so the strategic importance is massive, yet real expertise is rare and tough to find, harder than GPUs. Next year is likely to be more insane as we go from early adopter and realization this is big to real competitive pressure and top-line potential. The move from early adopter to mass adoption is faster than I've ever seen, and it is tough for capital to flow to fix this. There isn't enough talent, GPUs, knowledge available even if you spend billions as many already are. I think that we will see less of the mega rounds for compute as that has already been overdone. The reality is that data is more important. For us, we focused on distribution and real partnerships versus huge clusters as we focus on accessible, optimized models and tuning them well. I think you will see expert teams do the same, leveraging real competitive advantages from larger companies when you consider the pace of likely adoption. Basically, Ahmad is pointing out that a big part of the next round of funding is going to be actually in the incumbent companies and traditional players, not just venture capitalists, which will likely have an impact on how the industry evolves. It remains a hugely interesting space, as even the funding dynamics show. However, for now, we will wrap the brief here. Next up, the main AI breakdown.